Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about some fragrances in my perfume collection that I'm really excited to wear as we're heading into the fall season. I already made a video featuring rose fragrances that I own that I thought would be perfect for the fall. And now I wanted to touch upon some others that I have as we're leaving summer behind. So I picked 10 fragrances and we're gonna talk about these 10 today. So let's dive in. So the first one is one of my absolute favorites from Atelier, Lettre de Pushkar. This is a rose fragrance, but a very unique rose fragrance in my opinion. This is an oriental, spiced, earthy rose. I haven't smelled anything like this. It has earthy notes, and then there's vanilla to sweeten it up. It dries down to this exotic, intoxicating, slightly sweetened but spiced rose. This is not what I would consider your prim and proper rose fragrance. It has an exotic vibe to it. It's musty, but not musty in a bad way. I say musty because I think the earthy notes dirty up the rose so that it's not too heady, it's not overly floral, and it gives the fragrance this exotic component to it. I imagine wearing this with jeans, a leather jacket in the fall. But this is actually quite versatile because I can also see wearing this in the evening with like a black strappy dress and your hair in a loose bun. It leaves a beautiful scent trail. This lasts all day on my skin. I just love this. I think it's intoxicating, it's exotic. It's one of my favorite rose fragrances, Atelier Lettre de Pushkar. Next, I want to talk about Atelier d'Azur's Rouge Saray. This is described as an oriental gourmand fragrance. This is also so exotic and dense. At first spray, I get a cinnamon spiced plum note. This is not a bright fruity fragrance. It's like a sticky date with some woody notes and some vanilla to make it creamy. There's cinnamon here, there's jasmine, plum, dates, woody notes. I'm not picking up on the jasmine. I don't perceive this as a floral fragrance at all. There's sandalwood, Peru balsam, and vanilla. So while it starts out as this spiced plum, it then gets balsamic, a little sweet from the vanilla. There are creamy woody notes in here. It's cozy. There's like a syrupy element to this, but without being cloying or sickly sweet. And the fruits are dark fruits. It's just really cozy. I love this for the fall, into the winter actually. Rouge Saray by Atelier d'Azur's. Next is one of my favorites, Sana by Blend Oud. I love this. So this reminds me of vanilla cookies with lemon icing on top that my grandmother used to bake. This is so delicious without being overly sweet. It's not sickly sweet. It's a gourmand fragrance. It's compared to Xerjoff's Lettre, but to me, this one is a bit more cozy while Lettre is a little bit brighter and maybe more citrusy. And I think the performance here is a little better. I just like this better on my skin. This has notes of bergamot, blood orange, jasmine. There's cinnamon and licorice in here. There's also musk, vanilla, and caramel. So you have that vanilla and the caramel, which gives that gourmand sweetness to this fragrance. But then you have the cinnamon and the licorice, which prevents it from being too sweet, and the bergamot and the blood orange, which gives it that citrus twist. I think this is so cozy. I think it's the perfect gourmand fragrance for the fall. It's not overly sweet and bright. I just love this. Sana by Blend Oud. The next one is one of my absolute favorites. I love this. L'Orchestre Parfum Piano Santal. This is one of the most beautiful sandalwood fragrances. I actually discovered that I'm really picky with sandalwood fragrances. I'm probably one of like the 3 people on earth that cannot get into BDK's Gris Chanel. I've tried over and over again. I'm picky with sandalwood fragrances. This is magnificent. It's milky, It's woody, it's musky, it's enveloping. It is perfect for the fall. I think on the official website, part of the description is a white music sheet of paper. This gives me a white cozy blanket, a white robe. This has white sandalwood, white musk. There's bergamot in here and a milk note and caraway. And it's just blended to perfection. I absolutely love this fragrance. It is so calming. It's so cozy. Even though there's a milk note in here, I wouldn't describe this as a lactonic fragrance. It's a sandalwood that's just perfectly blended with musk notes and woody notes. And that milky note just makes it creamy enough where it takes away from the sharpness that I perceive in a lot of sandalwood fragrances. So I personally adore this fragrance. I love this. L'Orchestre Parfums Piano Santal. So the next two fragrances are at the top of my list for all-time favorites. They have the note of iris. I love iris in fragrances, and I love these two fragrances. The first one is Maison Crivelli's Iris Malikan. It is a leathery iris vanillic gourmand of a fragrance. It's just absolutely intoxicating. This almost comes off to me like an iris fig fragrance. It just occurred to me recently when I was smelling this that it kind of reminds me of like a fig note, but with an overdose of iris. This is just magnificent. It's not too powdery because you have the leather in this, but the leather is also not overpowering. So the leather, the vanilla, and the iris is just perfectly blended. It's so edgy, it's so chic, it's so different. I really love this. It has amazing longevity and projection. So I have the little size, and I think I'm going to get a backup big bottle and use this to travel. Iris Malikan by Maison Crivelli. This is magnificent. If you haven't smelled this, you need to try this out. Also featuring iris is Thameen London's Blue Heart. So I know that this fragrance has been polarizing here on YouTube and other platforms. I absolutely adore this fragrance. So Blue Heart features notes of saffron, coconut, there's vanilla, orris root, and tonka beans as mid notes, and then there's amber and white musk as base notes. I don't get any of the coconut. So this is not a tropical fragrance. I just don't perceive a coconut note in this fragrance. So what I get from this fragrance is almost a suede-like leather with ambery notes. You have a little bit of sweetness from the tonka bean. It's smooth, but I think the iris in here is a star player. The orris root is adding a powdery element to this fragrance. So I think the iris in here prevents that saffron from overpowering this fragrance. You have the ambery and the musky notes, and you have the tonka bean and vanilla note to round this out. It has amazing longevity. I think that if you like the idea of a fragrance that has a little bit of a leather, suede, smoothness to it, that's also a little powdery, that has some sweetness from vanilla and tonka bean, that you might want to try Blue Heart. I think this is a magnificent fragrance. Thameen London has been doing great work. I own 3 of their fragrances, and I have 1 on the way, which I'll review. I think this is cozy and perfect for the fall, and it's a beautiful fragrance. Thameen's Blue Heart. Next up is a very popular vanilla fragrance, Babycat by Yves Saint Laurent. This is a beautiful spiced vanilla fragrance with that saffron leathery note in the background. Another great fragrance with saffron that gives the vanilla depth, so that this is not a bakery vanilla. It's a spiced vanilla. There's an incense, like a citrusy pepper note in the background. It just works so beautifully. It's blended to perfection. It's a sexy vanilla fragrance. It's cozy. It also has depth. It has a lot of depth to it. The saffron note makes this a very interesting and different type of vanilla. I love this. I think it's so cozy. It's so different. Babycat by Yves Saint Laurent, one of my all-time favorites. And speaking of saffron, next I want to talk about Memo's Cappadocia. So I wanted to follow Babycat with Cappadocia because in my opinion, I feel like the notes in both fragrances are similar, but they're reversed. While Babycat is vanilla-centric, that sits on this beautiful, peppery leather note from the saffron, Cappadocia is saffron that sits on a bed of vanilla and other notes. I don't know what it is about this fragrance. I just find it so addictive. I'm actually wearing it today, so I'm going to spray. This is so beautiful. So I would describe Cappadocia as a saffron fragrance that has some creaminess and sweetness from vanilla, some floral notes in the background with ambery and woody notes at the base. There is saffron, there's jasmine absolute, there's iris butter in here, there's rose, sandalwood, olibanum, and myrrh. And at the base is benzoin and vanilla absolute. It's not floral. I'm not detecting rose, I'm not detecting jasmine. So this to me is a leather fragrance, but a delicate leather fragrance, if that makes sense. It's not an overpowering, over-masculine, dark leather. It's a delicate leather. It's very cocooning, it's cozy. You also have the vanilla in here, which makes this creamy. You have the iris that adds some powderiness to this. And so that leather note from the saffron comes off smooth, almost suede-like. I think it's perfect for the fall, into the winter. It's perfectly unisex. It has great performance. I spray it in the morning. I smell it on myself all day. Cappadocia by Memo, Paris. One of my favorites. Next is an interesting fragrance that I wanted to include in this list. Penhaligons Bewitching Yasmine. Oh, this is intoxicating. I love this. I feel like I should be in an enchanting Disney movie, but maybe that's coming from this magnificent bottle. So this starts out with a burst of intoxicating sweet and smoky. Then there's a jasmine note that peeks through but never actually comes to the forefront. I think the jasmine in here stays in the background. There's cardamom, coffee, vanilla. This is a cardamom, coffee, vanilla fragrance that is just magical because of that incense. I don't perceive the coffee note in here as too strong. I think it's perfectly blended with the cardamom and that sweetness, the creaminess from the vanilla. But I think what really makes this special is the incense in the background upon which all of these notes sit. And the incense just makes this fragrance intoxicating. It's a spiced, smoky vanilla with cardamom. It's magnificent, it's beautiful. There's something magical about this. It's cozy at the same time. I love this. Bewitching Yasmine by Penhaligons. And last, but certainly not least, I want to talk about Kotor by Memo Paris. I recently added this to my perfume collection. I ordered this online. I think it's an exclusive to the Memo Paris boutique in Paris. It is a honey hazelnut syrupy, beautiful fragrance. It's intoxicating. It's so cozy. It's so delicious. It's not an edible gourmand. It's dense. It's dense and nutty, and honey is the main player in this fragrance. So there's hazelnut, thyme, and praline at the top. Honey is a mid-note. There's vanilla bourbon and agarwood leather as a note in here as well to ground the fragrance. But I'm really not picking up on the leather note here. You do have the woody aspect in the base, but it's a nutty, honey, dense, syrupy, enveloping, cocooning fragrance. That's what this is. It's as if you took a chocolate with hazelnuts and praline and you drizzled raw honey all over it. This is just so good. It's really pretty. This does sit close to the skin. I wish it was a little more projecting. I think because of the oils in the fragrance, it's very, very well blended, very high quality ingredients. I think it's obvious. I think this is perfect for the fall. I really like it. It's cozy, it's dense, it's nutty, but the honey is really at the forefront. And it's not sickly sweet. It's just the perfect combination of the honey and the nutty and the praline and the vanilla and the woody notes. I like this one, Memo Paris Kotor. So those are some great fragrances in my perfume collection that I love to wear for the fall. Let me know if there are any that you guys recommend, if you have any opinions about the fragrances that I spoke about today. Thank you for watching. Bye guys.